Welcome students of Thakur Vidya Mandir High School and Junior College. In my last lecture, that is in lecture 4, we have studied about structure of microspore, development of male gametophyte and structure of anatropous ovule. So today in lecture 5, we will deal with the remaining part of the chapter. Megasporogenesis. Megasporogenesis is the process of formation of haploid megaspores from diploid megaspore mother cell, that is MMC. We have studied about MMC in the last lecture, that is the megaspore mother cell. So here if you can see in the diagram, the megaspore mother cell, it undergo meiosis and give rise to 4 haploid. In the process of meiosis, you know the chromosome number is reduced to half. So 4 haploid megaspore cells are produced. Megaspore mother cell becomes distinguished in the nucleus more or less in the center but towards the micropylar end of the ovule. Megasporogenesis is the process of formation of megaspores in the angiosperms. It undergoes meiosis to produce 4 megaspores. In most flowering plants, only one megaspore is functional while the other 3 degenerate. So in most of the flowering plant, among the 4 haploid megaspore which you can see in the diagram, only one is functional and the other 3 degenerates. The single functional megaspore develops into female gametophyte. So here the haploid megaspore which is released, which is produced from by the process of meiosis, it gave rise to female gametophyte. Development of female gametophyte. Megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to form linear tetrad of haploid cells, that is megaspore. Upper 3 megaspores abort and lowest one towards the center of nucleus remains functional. As I said, among the 4 haploid megaspore, the upper 3, as you can see in the diagram, they degenerate, and the one which is towards the center of the nucleus, it remains functional. So it acts as the first cell of female gametophyte, that is, it initiates the process of formation of female gametophyte. So among the 4 haploid megaspores, as we all know, the upper 3, it gets degenerated and the rest one initiates the process of formation of female gametophyte. So it undergoes 3 successive free nuclear mitotic division. It undergoes the process of mitosis at 3 stages. First, you can see from a single cell, 2 cells are developed. In the second process of mitosis, from 2 cells, 4 cells are developed. And in the third stage of mitosis, from 4 cells, 8 cells are developed. And that's how the development of female gametophyte, the process, it initiates. As a result of 3 successive mitotic division, 8 nuclei are formed, 4 of which are located at each pole. So one nucleus from each pole, they migrate towards the center and are called polar nuclei. 3 nuclei towards micropylar end constitute egg apparatus. It consists of large central haploid egg cell and 2 supporting haploid synergid cells. Synergids show hair-like projections called filiform apparatus, which guide the pollen tube towards the egg. So here in the diagram, you can see the 2 red dots like structure. They are the 2 polar nuclei which have migrated from the poles to the center. In the south pole, if you're seeing it, you can see 2 synergids and the central one is the egg cell. Now synergids, they show hair-like projections which are called filiform apparatus. Now filiform apparatus, it guides the pollen tube towards the egg. So there the pollen tube will be attached, from where actually the male gamete will fuse with the female, that is the egg cell. So synergids, they give away, they form a tube-like structure and they results in the formation of or the fertilization process. Antipodal cells are group of 3 cells present at the chalazal end. The two haploid polar nuclei of large central cell, they fuse to form diploid secondary nucleus or definitive nucleus. So the two polar nuclei, they fuse and they form one cell, that is called diploid secondary nucleus just prior to fertilization. So this 7 celled. Now how many cells it is? 7. 3 antipodal cells, one diploid secondary nucleus, one egg cell, and two synergids. An 8 nucleated structure is called an embryo sac. Since single megaspore forms embryo sac, it is monosporic. The development of female gametophyte is endosporous, that is within the megaspore. Female gametophyte is colorless, endosporic, and is concealed in the ovule enclosed by ovary. So you can see in the diagram the megaspore mother cell, which is diploid. Just a revision of all the process which we have studied. So megaspore mother cell, which is diploid, it undergo meiosis. So when it undergo meiosis, it forms 4 haploid megaspore cells, out of which the upper 3 it degenerates, and the last, which is near towards the central nucleus, it forms megaspore or embryo sac. So entire process is taking place in this megaspore cell, inside the megaspore cell. So megaspore cell, it is the growth or it is nourished by the nucleus. This cell, it undergo mitosis, the first process of mitosis, which results in formation of 2 cells. Then it undergoes second mitosis, which results in the formation of 4 cells. Then it undergoes third, which results in the formation of 8 cells. 4 cells at each pole. So from the each pole, one nuclei, they migrate towards the center, where they form 2 polar nuclei, and 3 antipodal cells are formed. Egg female gametophyte is formed, and the synergid cell is formed, and this total structure is known as embryo sac, and this is the process of formation of female gametophyte. The next topic which we'll be dealing today is pollination. So what is pollination? Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of a flower. Pollen grains being non-motile, angiosperms have evolved the strategy to use abiotic agents and biotic agents to their flowers, feeding the visitors and exploiting their mobility for pollination and also seed dispersal. Self-pollination. Self-pollination, it occurs in a single flower or 2 flowers on a single plant. It results in inbreeding or selfing. Cross-pollination. It is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower of different plants or same species. Pollination is further divided into 3 types on the basis of the source of pollination. First is autogamy. It is also known as self-pollination. Next is geitonogamy, and third is xenogamy, which is also known as cross-pollination. Autogamy. It is also known as self-pollination. It is a type of pollination in which bisexual flower is pollinated by its own pollen grains. Offsprings are genetically identical to their parents. For example, pea plant. So the pea plant, it undergoes self-pollination. Geitonogamy. It is the transfer of pollen grain to a stigma of a different flower produced on the same plant. So it is functionally similar to somewhat like cross-pollination, as it involves pollinating agents. But it cannot bring about genetic variations and is only of ecological significance. So here, students, what is the difference? The difference is like the pollination is taking place on the same plant but on different flower. Okay, for example, Cucurbita maxima. It is similar to autogamy, as I said you, as pollen grains come from the same plant. Xenogamy, that is also known as cross pollination. So when pollen grain of one flower is deposited on the stigma of a flower of different plant belonging to same species. So here the pollination is taking from one plant to the other plant, which you can see in the diagram, with the help of pollinating agency, which we will be studying next. It generates genetically varied offspring. So obviously we see different variations in the offsprings. Their appearance, their color may be somewhat different. Majority of flowering plants depend on the transfer of pollen grains. Virtually all seed plants need to be pollinated. Most of the food and fiber crops grown throughout the world depends upon pollinators for reproduction. So here we require pollinators. Why? Because pollen grains are non-motile. They are usually carried from flower to flower by means of external agents. So here we have categorized the agents as abiotic and biotic. In abiotic agent, they are the non-living agent, and biotic agents, they are the living agents. So under abiotic agents, we can study about water and wind, and under abiotic agents, we can study about the living organisms which directly or indirectly help in the process of pollination. Pollination by wind, it is also known as anemophily. Most of the important crop plants are wind pollinated. For example, wheat, rice, corn, rye, barley, oats. Palms are also wind pollinated. Adaptations in anemophilous flower. The flowers are small, inconspicuous, colorless, without nectar and fragrance. The pollen grains are light in weight, dry, and produced in large numbers to increase chances of pollination, considering wastage of pollen grains. Stigma is feathery to trap pollen carried by wind currents. Stamens with long filaments and versatile anthers. Stamens and stigmas are exposed to air currents. So here the flowers, they are small. Generally we see small size flower around us, if you must have noticed. So they are generally small. They are inconspicuous. Now what is the meaning of inconspicuous? It means not easily noticed. Like we don't easily notice the anemophilous flower. Generally we just neglect them, obviously because they are colorless. They don't have the nectar and fragrance at all. And the pollen grains, they are light in weight, dry, and produced in large numbers to increase chances of pollination, considering the wastage of pollen grains. Stigma is feathery to trap pollen grains, and the stamens with long filaments and versatile anthers. And stamens and stigmas are exposed to air current, so they are generally just they have adapted themselves for this wind pollination process. Pollination by water, that is also called hydrophily, is found only in some 30 genera of aquatic monocots. For example, Vallisneria, Zostera, Keratophyllum. Adaptations in hydrophilous flower. Flowers are small and inconspicuous. Nectar and fragrance are lacking in flowers. Pollen grains are long and unwettable. Perianth and other floral parts are unwettable. So students, till now you must have been clear with the process of megasporogenesis, how the formation of female gametophyte takes place, and also we have studied about pollination and the types of pollination, the agents of pollination. So just please go through the female gametophyte development process and just thoroughly practice the diagram, because that is very important diagram from exam point of view. Please do the assignment. Thank you.